Okay, so I've got a basic ground surface underneath my space, and now I want to model in some new elements using model in place. Just before I do that, I'm going to just place a family from the library, really just to give an idea of scale. And in fact, so I'll put a couple. So I'm going to go to the ground floor plan and go to door. And there's already a door loaded. So you can see over here in properties, make sure that's where you're looking to see the family that you're using. So that's the family, M single flush is my door. And in the plan view, I can easily move the cursor over one of the walls and just place a door there. This isn't necessarily where my final entry is going to be, but again, it gives me a good idea of the scale I'm working at. Once I can see that door. Now I'm going to go to the courtyard level, or the courtyard floor plan, and I'm going to just go to component, and there you've got an option when you click on the down arrow. You can either click on place a component, or if you click above the line there, that basically does the same thing. Place a component, either way. And so I've got a desk loaded, which I don't really want. So to get a family from the library, you can click on load family. And it's pretty logical. You do need to browse through these folders to understand where everything is, but it's categorized pretty well. So if you go to plumbing, and then architectural, if you ever get a choice between these two, MEP is for mechanical engineering and plumbing, and that's all scary engineering stuff we don't need to worry about, so generally architectural. I get scared by the engineering stuff, it's pretty full on. So again, if we go to architectural though, you'll find the things you want, and go to water closets, and we've got some toilets there. So I'll just grab this one. I'm just going to put that on the wall. Again, this isn't where my final toilet's going to go, just to give me an idea of scale when I'm modelling. Oh, just so that you can show you different heights. So you can see here in the 3D view that the toilet's gone down at the bottom and the door's up higher because those levels are different. But yeah, my final toilet will be somewhere else. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the courtyard floor plan, and I'm going to start modelling my new thing. And again, I'm just going to make a bath quite similar to this one. So you can try out the modelling tools. So at first, this should be the way you start modelling your own elements. On the menu under component, you go to model in place. So that basically means, that term in place means that you're making it in the project file, and it's for unique or one-off elements. So whenever you need to make something that is a one-off, and you'll have lots of those, that's the tool you use. So if it's repeated, in other words, it's something that's going to be copied many times, you do it a bit differently. But again, this bath is definitely a one-off. So again, under component, model in place, really important tool, so make sure you know where that is. And I'll choose that, model in place, and it'll come up with a list of categories. So again, it's all pretty logical. Here, again, we're making a bath, so I'm going to make it the same as the toilet and set it to plumbing fixtures. And you can change them later, so if you choose the wrong one, don't worry, you can change them. But try to get the right one. So again, plumbing fixtures, okay. And then it'll ask you for a name. This is just for you to use, so call it what you like. I'm going to call it bath. Click OK. And then finally you get the modelling tools. So have you seen tools like this in any other programs? I know a lot of you, we've used SketchUp, maybe? Yeah. So push-pull is very similar to extrusion. And you do actually have very similar modelling tools to this in SketchUp. So extrusion is the one I'm going to focus on. And make sure you're comfortable with that tool first before you worry about the others. It probably is the one you use the most as well. So extrusion there on the Create tab. And if you ever can't see it, if you've gone to another tab, remember you can always go back to that Create tab. That's your first tab, unlike the way you work normally, where Architecture is going to be your first tab. So here it's Create, and that gives you your modelling tools, and then we can click on Extrusion, and it's going to take us to a new tab. So there you can see we've got the drawing tools, which are very similar to what you've used already to make things like floors. Right, so you've got all these tools to draw lines and other shapes. I'm going to go to Rectangle, and then just click on the corner there in the top right, and then go down and to the left, and line it up with the wall at the bottom. I'm not that worried about the width, I'll adjust that. So I'm just going to click there when I touch that wall, and give it a nominal width. And then afterwards we can come back and adjust that dimension and make it a round number, so I might make that 2000. There we are. If you've lost it, if you can't select it or can't change it, you can always press Escape to cancel. Press it twice if you need to, and then you can select any of those lines and adjust them afterwards. So I've got a basic rectangle, and remember that's on the courtyard level. So then I'm going to give a height. So notice I've gone over to properties for that. You actually see sometimes it comes up on the options bar there where it says depth, but that won't always be there. So it's a good habit to remember to go to the properties panel to change your height, because it'll always be there. And so the height is set with the extrusion end, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to make it fairly high. I want a fairly deep bar, so I might make it 1000. And that's it. So I've got a simple box now that's defined. But I'm going to show you a 3D view, just so I can make it clearer how we're working, and you can see then that it's still just a rectangle sitting on the ground because we're in sketch mode. So if you remember making a floor, it works the same way. You're in sketch mode, or in other words, you're drawing a 2D shape until you click tick to finish, and then it applies that height as well, and that's when we finally get the 3D box. And there we are, and you can use the arrows to stretch it if you want to. It all works interactively. I'll undo that. And if you select it afterwards, you can still go and adjust the height in properties as well. So maybe I'll make it even higher, 1200. And bring it up. So I've got my basic form, but then I want to put a hole into that to make it into a bathtub. So it's up high. I'm going to have my floor level coming up there as well. So now I'm going to go back to the courtyard level, and so I want my modelling tools again. Remember, I'm in the Modify tab. So to get those tools, we go back to Create to get all those modelling tools. And so I want to cut a hole out, and so for that you use voids. So we've got all the same modelling tools under voids. So we've got void extrusion there, and all the others. So again, void extrusion. And now I want to put a, I was going to say a 200mm offset. So I'm going to, again, just go to rectangle, and then on the options bar there you can type in 200, and then click on the corner of the bar, and it's going the wrong way. So remember, to change the direction, you've got the space bar to toggle. And that's all I'm pressing there. And remember, if you're having trouble remembering all these shortcuts, have a look on the options, oh sorry, not the options bar, the status bar down here. It'll usually tell you the shortcut you need to use. So again, space toggles the offset direction. And so now that I've got it going to the inside, I click on the top right corner. I've got my new rectangle. And then over in properties, I'm going to bring the extrusion end up to the same height I used for the box in the end, which was, of course, 1200. But then I'm also going to bring the extrusion start up as well. So this is now going to start the void higher. I'm going to make that 200. So the void, again, starts above the ground, or above my box as well. So I'll finish that, tick to finish, and then I'll show you in a 3D view. At the moment, it's still showing me the void because I've still got it selected. So I'm just going to click to the side, and I've got a basic hole in my box. And you can combine things in all sorts of really creative ways, and even just with box modelling, you can do a lot. So I've gone to the section view to see that, and you can see that it's showing, but the section must be not quite in the right place to get the void. Oh no, it should be. Okay, so I'm going to finish this. I know why it's doing it. So I've been working on the getting that model in place, or the one-off element, and I still need to finish it. So I've finished my extrusions, but I need to go to finish model, and now we're back to the normal mode where we can select all the other elements. And I'm just going to show you then in that section view. That should be cutting. What's going on there? Anyhow, when you select it, you can see it being cut there. There's something going wrong with my, my section. Just go to different detail level. It's a bit odd. Where's my section? That's actually in a good place. Yeah, anyway, I'll come back and I'll check there what's happening. Oh no, I know what it is. Okay, this is me being stupid. Okay, so I set it to plumbing fixtures. That's the right category, but for this sort of bath, we want, really technically, we want a different category. So I might show you this. With the, again, this is optional, you don't have to do this, but it's going to help you to see how it all works. I'm going to select that bath and I want to change the category. So I've got to go back to edit and place to get to my extrusions. So I can change the height and do all those other things there. But what I'll do is go up to family, category and parameters, this option up here. You can see there it's on the category I chose, which is plumbing fixtures. I'm going to change it to basically the default one, or the most, I don't want to say the most basic, but probably the most universal, and that's generic models. So you can use that for anything. If you're not sure of the category to use, or you just want to make it work, again, this is a good category, generic models, works for pretty much everything. Click OK, and notice how now it's showing cut. I'll finish that, and you can see that's how I'd want it to show. Right, so the plumbing fixtures category is set to not show things being cut, even if they're cut in the section view. And that's a deliberate thing, because if you think about maybe, again, toilets and basins, in a section view, you don't want to see all the detail where they're being cut through. You just want to see them as though they're viewed from the side in elevation, even when the section line's going through them. So this is a bit unusual. This bath isn't a typical one, so I wanted to show being cut, and that's just done by the category. So yeah, so that's a good thing to know, but again, don't worry if you don't get it like that to start with. As long as you get something modelled and get those extrusion tools to work, that'll be really good, and then we can move on and put some materials on this. But I'll give you some time to try that, and then if you want to, try and do some different shapes. If you want to do even curved baths or something like that, give it a go.